Hi, Lisa here with Dawn, and we are super stoked because we have a Burn the Blueprint series that we're going to do. Right now, it's looking like 3 episodes. This is the first one. And the whole purpose of this series is to look at our businesses from the beginning, the middle, and where we are today. And the title, Burn the Blueprint, like, Dawn, I love it. How did you come up with that?
I just feel like there has to be some sort of structure. There has to be a structure in how you're building something. But most of the time when we're starting a business, we don't know what to do. We just, with you and with me both, we kind of jumped in and we decided we wanted to have our own businesses. We wanted to do things a certain way. And a lot of it was through trial and error. So, but you try to map everything out and plan everything as best you can. And then fires come, and then you learn, and then you grow. So going back and just looking at the 3 parts, just the process of going, being excited and starting, having a plan, then realizing that plan is not working, then adjusting, going through kind of that trauma in the middle, and then, just continuing on. So I'm really excited about this topic.
Yeah, I agree too, because when you initially start, and whatever phase you're in your business, you have the opportunity to make changes. But I think one of the regrets that I have out of the gate was I was slipping into a business. I joined my partner. I'm not a court reporter. So initially when I started, I was there to build the business and run the office, and I earned my partnership a year later. But I was slipping into something that was already there, and I was in the legal industry because I came in as a paralegal, but not being a court reporter and coming into a court reporting firm business, I really felt like I had to function the way that they were functioning. Like for a long time, I kept that mindset of, well, they're court reporters. This is a court reporting agency. It had already been in business for several years. I'm stepping in with my legal background, and I didn't know how, or that I needed to really kind of make it my own.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think you don't have the courage initially if the business is already started and you're coming into it, you've got to kind of get your sea legs and make sure you're doing things the right way, the way other people think is the right way, especially if you're trying to earn your partnership. With us, I had been working at another firm in Orange County for a little more than 10 years and moved to Dallas, worked for another firm, and started my firm with my partner. And when we started this firm, it was a toxic tort firm. So we were doing asbestos litigation, other toxic torts. I had learned a lot over the year prior to that about asbestos litigation, about mass torts. But when it comes to running the firm and all of the moving parts, creating a filing system, creating, how are we interacting with each other, computers, all of that stuff, I felt like I had really planned for it, wrote out kind of a blueprint as to how I saw it, but it was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
It really well, wouldn't you agree it takes on a life of its own?
It absolutely does. And I think that that's the whole thing is, if you try to be too married with that plan that you had in your head at the beginning, I think that is a mistake.
I think that's stifling.
It is.
You may not realize it. You might think, okay, well, this is consistency, this is routine, and this is what we're doing, and this is the plan, this is the blueprint. But then when you don't make the progress, whether it's with the hires or the business that you're trying to bring in, then you realize you finally hit a place where, okay, I think I'm stifled what I'm doing.
Yeah. And it's all on you, right? Like everybody's looking to you to figure out a way through. And when we first started our asbestos practice, we were still learning. So we wanted to hire experts in that area, people that were handling asbestos claims and going through that process on a daily basis. We wanted to hire them. But the problem is that we didn't really see each part of it because we had never done it before. So we had to really trust these people and their knowledge, and to bring people in that you don't know to help you start a business, and then to trust them and not know all of the ins and outs. That's uncomfortable.
It's obvious. It's uncomfortable, but then honestly, I don't know any other way in a new business, in a growing business, like you're talking to your friends, your mentors, and you're really trying to find those businesses and those companies that can help you the best. But then there's also just the personality of your business.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I just don't think those things align when you're trying to hire the experts to help you.
So how did that work? Like, what was the part of it that you went through to where you're kind of trying to build this, you're bringing in people, the company taking on its own personality? You know, how did you bring people in and build that culture initially?
It was really bad. Like initially it was really bad. The hires that I made, because I was the one doing the interviewing and, I didn't really know exactly, except we were growing. But the blessing came along, and this is where I think that it's the internal hire. That obviously, if you need expertise regarding marketing or your website, or in that there's expertise for that. But when you're talking about your actual business, you're trying to figure out how to make it grow. You've got to have somebody working with you side by side, day in and day out, that you're like-minded, you're on the same page, and they will tell you, when you're being stupid.
You got to have somebody,
and for me, that was Linda. Like Linda was the one, she was like, let this go. This is my job. This is what I'll worry about: more computers, more Wi-Fi, more paper, more whatever the thing was, things that I was worrying about.
right?
And in the middle of and micromanaging, that was the biggest challenge. And that truly was like an aha moment because I was like, we can't even handle what's coming in right now. And she was like, let me handle that.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about two different things here. We're talking about internal hires, and then we're talking about an expertise. And I think on both of those avenues, it's really important to find the people that match with you. And I think on the expert side, it's even more challenging.
Yep. For sure, because you're looking for something that you don't know exactly what you're looking for, right? I mean, with this, at least, when you're bringing somebody in that's going to be your right-hand person, you know what you need because you know your personality, you know what you need. But if you're bringing in an expert in that area that you're trying to grow into, you don't really necessarily know how that growth is supposed to happen, But either way, either side, you have to delegate. You have to release. I love what you just said, because I think that's one of the hardest things as women we do. I've talked to so many new firm owners, so many new business owners, to where they get so caught up in doing every little thing because they feel like they're going to be able to do it better. But
there's not enough hours in the day.
No, you have to get to the point in your mind where if it's 80%, right? If this other person can do it 80%, that you can do it in your mind. They might even be able to do it a lot better than that. But if they can do it at least 80%, then you've got to give it up. You've got to give it up. And that's the only way you can grow and survive.
And when you're new in business, I think there's also this drive, like you feel like you have to do everything perfect. I mean, especially if you've just started out. So the first time around, you don't have any frame of reference to draw from. So you're just doing the best that you can do, and you feel like it all needs to be perfect. And that's where you have to give yourself some grace. And that's where that right-hand person, you really do function in a vulnerable state at times, right? Because you have to trust them enough and be comfortable enough with them to tell them, like, this isn't working. Like, this is making me nervous. How are we going to fix this? What are we going to do? And I think in a women-owned business, I feel like I think that can come more naturally just because of the many hats that most of us wear. Like, we can shift from here to there in a moment's notice, talking to the school teacher, back on the computer, right? 110 miles an hour. But that person that you have, that's your right-hand person, whether it's your partner or somebody else in the office that is like there to fulfill that role, that's the person you really have to be honest with. And when you're in the growth process, I don't know. I think it's challenging to see it.
Yeah. Well, and I think when you're looking for somebody to be that right-hand person, I think a lot of people make the mistake to bring in maybe people to do small tasks first, as opposed to being the right-hand person. I think you can build it either way. I think you can build it to where you are giving away those tasks that take less of your power, I guess, right? So we need to choose the things that we are the best at, right? And that we love. So there's a quadrant you want to be in the top right-hand quadrant, like the things that you love and the things that you're good at.
Yes.
And then you want to get rid of the things that you hate and the things that you're bad at.
Yeah, those are the ones that you want to get rid of first.
And then the other two quadrants are negotiable, right? There's some things you like, but you're not really good at. Some things you don't like, but you are really good at. So drawing that quadrant, I think, and visualizing it for me is the best way to start trying to figure out how to grow and how to delegate. But you have no idea. I'm reading books. I'm, taking classes. I'm watching podcasts. I'm doing everything that I can to try to learn because I wasn't a leader. I was just a lawyer. I didn't know how to manage people or
how to budget.
Oh my gosh.
So if you're growing and you're not I'm not a budgeting business money person when I first started out because that was all new to me, right? I just had my household budget, my paycheck, the things that I did with that. So then when you go into a business and it's growing and you basically need all of these extra things, somebody's got to have the expertise and experience to say, okay, this is our budget and this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. So that goes hand in hand with, if you're not good at that, then you better find somebody else to do it. And I feel like in the first years in business, it really is hard to get those things off, because we just really feel like we do. And you said early, you need to stay in the middle of it, in the minutia, and be a part of everything. But we don't.
No, we don't. And you're doing a disservice to your company by thinking that you do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, get over yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Get over yourself.
I mean, I think that's one thing that Lisa always talked about, filming and that kind of thing. And everybody's so worried about what they look like. It's the same in business. You're so worried. Everything has to be a certain way. I mean, you could do it better than everybody else. I'm telling you right now, it's just a farce.
Yeah, it's just a farce.
You just need to get over yourself and realize that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to find somebody. I mean, your goal is to find somebody that's better at that job than you.
Yes.
That is the goal. And you can do it in small pieces.
And just tag on to that, celebrate the wins.
Yes.
And they do not have to be these huge wins. It could just be that, you turned over phone calls to someone. You have to celebrate something, because when you're new in business and you're building, you'll beat yourself up over the challenges, the losses, the things that didn't work out, the money that's spent on the experts that didn't do what you thought they would do, right? If you can't figure out a way to check those and know that that's part of just seasoning, growing, and more business experience, which I promise you will pay off in the end. It will. You'll have all that experience. It will come into play at some other time. But just not beating yourself up over the losses.
Well, I think resilience as a business owner, as a firm owner, as a leader, you have to be resilient, because there are going to be days where you just feel like you've been smacked, kicked, cut, stepped on, and the resilience to get up and move forward. That is the only thing that keeps you going. And I try to talk about winning and how important winning is, because everybody says you learn so much from your failures. Okay, well, you do. You learn things from your failures, but you learn a lot from wins, right? How it felt, right? The feeling that you get when you win at something, when you're good at something, then that reinforces how you need to feel the next time to get to that win. So, accept your failures, think about them, then you have to put them to the side and move forward. And then really try to focus on the win.
Right.
Like you said, celebrate the win.
Well, because that's contagious.
It is.
And when you have, whether it's one person that works side by side with you or several, you have to celebrate those wins, because it just creates that momentum.
Energy.
Yeah. And it also helps you handle when you don't win, okay, well, we're going to win next time, right? We know how to do this. We know what we've learned from this. But that positive, contagious energy, that vibe, that's super high energy. And that really, I don't know, it just changes an environment, changes an office. We've talked about this so many times. That's why Dawn and I just love doing this podcast. It brings us together. We have energy when we're together in person. I hope that that's conveyed when we're sharing here. We have guests on, because we are truly energetic and enthusiastic and super happy to be here. So now your job in your new business, in your growing business, is you have to bring in that energy
every day.
every day.
That's your responsibility.
Yes, it is. If there is something, and I know this is really hard for a lot of people, but if there is something that is really, really dragging you down, I'm just telling you, I think you need to just compartmentalize it, man. Because the last thing you want to be is the one that's coming in and dragging out everyone else down. Yeah. Now you got the reality of issues that have to be addressed. So I'm not suggesting that you scrape those under the rug, but in a new business, where everybody is just trying to make things work and they want it to work, like the energy and the vibe is so critical.
So important. So, and how do you do that, right? What kind of mind shift? Because you're running 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming in from family. You're coming in because all of us have other things going on other than just our business. So there's going to be things that happen badly in the morning or happen badly the night before, personal things, all kinds of different things. But you as the leader have to be on.
Right.
You
yes.
really do. You have to do everything that you can to be on. I'm not saying everybody's perfect. Everybody has a bad day. But you have to minimize those bad days because people are looking to you for positive guidance, for leadership, for, where do we go next? So one of the things that Lisa has said before is this whole power stance thing, right?
Right.
So when you stand up, you put your hands on your hips and your feet apart to where you feel grounded.
Right.
That is a great way to change your energy because it is scientifically proven that
physically raises your serotonin and lowers your cortisol. And you can just go in the bathroom for 2 minutes, put your hands on your hips, take some deep breaths, and you are physically changing your body and coming out really a different person.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Amy Cuddy on TED Talk. Love it. I've listened to it many, many times because it's just a really good refresher.
Yeah. So just if you're feeling kind of down in the morning, just know that people are looking to you. I mean, that's why you started this company probably, is because you felt like you could bring people together to accomplish whatever your goal is. So just remember that before you come on and you're with your team, because you have an impact. You have an impact on them. So just get yourself right before you walk into that room, before you walk into the office, before you walk into the courtroom. You got to have the right mindset.
Yeah. So in the very beginning in the business, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be losses. There's going to be wins. There's going to be an opportunity wherein you can figure out like, okay, this person is not necessarily doing everything that I need them to be doing. And that doesn't mean that you eliminate that role as a whole. It just means that you reevaluate and then you bring somebody else in or you find whatever the solution is. You've got to keep moving. And,
don't be married. Don't be married to that structure that you got the first time. And that's kind of, what we're talking about is you have a plan. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a plan. I love this saying. Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. Right. That's the thing is you have a plan and then you can't be married to it. So when you get hit in the mouth, just step back, regroup and figure out where you're going to go. And the beginning is kind of just the honeymoon phase. We're talking about
it is
phase.
Yeah, like, truly.
You're running, you're hustling. You don't know really what you're doing right. And you don't know what you're doing wrong. And you're just going through the motions to kind of get there and learning and growing as you're going through it. So I think having some sort of a written plan and how you're going to execute things initially is a must. You have to.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of make sure that you're adapting and changing as you go, because the quicker you are to adapt,
make changes.
Quicker you're going to be able to grow.
Just speaking of change, that was one thing in my office, that one thing is consistent, and it's change. Change is always going to be happening. People get so ingrained in what they're doing, and it's not that we were going to like throw the baby out with the bathwater, but like as the business grew and things were changing and people wanted to work in certain positions and they actually were more productive and happier, we made the change. Mm-hmm. And so it became part of the interview process, is that like one thing here is that change is a good thing.
So we do the same thing. And we did not do that at the beginning because we all these people would be like, okay, well, we're going to change your position. We're going to move you here, especially if you're a small company.
Yes.
You've got to be able to adapt.
Yes.
So now when we're interviewing, one of the things that we always say is, how good are you with change? How do you handle change? how adaptable are you? And you're interviewing people and you don't know. They're going to tell you, oh, I'm so adaptable.
Yes. Yeah.
But at least you're not.
I'm a multitasker. They all say they're multitaskers.
Great at that. I can do that. I can do this. But I think the purpose in how we talk to potential hires about that is you're not blindsiding them later.
Right.
And you're telling them right up front, this is a new business. This is a growing business. We're going to change a lot of things all the time. And is that something that you are going to be okay with? Is that something that you're comfortable with? Does that make you feel like you want to pull your hair out?
Right.
Or something? Because this is not going to be the right place for you if you think that you're going to do the exact same thing every single day, because that's not where we are in this journey.
Exactly.
So giving people the heads up, at least coming into it.
Right. They're not blindsided. They're not blindsided. So just a life example that I have to put that into play on how change is good. And then sometimes it's like, okay, well, we need to do something different here. So we were small enough and like the multi-hat, like, can you do this and that? So we thought initially just whatever the receptionist, when she was answering the phone, that it would be a good idea to give her all these other tasks and everything that was going on.
Not such a good.
No, because what happened is that then they were thriving, but they didn't want to be the receptionist. So it was just this, for a while, it was this routine of like, put somebody in that position and then they promote out, so what we were doing is we weren't placing enough importance as a company on the role of the receptionist. And I'm not even just talking about, I know in this day and age, so many phone calls don't even go through the receptionist, but still that presence, that person that's, all the packages, everything that's coming in and going out and managing the people and all the things, it is. And so finally, as a company, we're like, we're hiring a receptionist and she is going to stay a receptionist. And, in the interview process, that's exactly what we were looking for. We didn't say you're going to promote out, you're going to do other things. This is what you're going to do. So it's on both sides. You have to have the staff that is adaptable and willing to change. And then as a company, you have to look at something and sometimes go, okay, well, this isn't working anymore. We've got to fix this. So it's kind of funny. You can go on and on with all the changes that you made in the beginning and the things that you did and the bumps. And, it just makes you a better person for business on down the line is really what it does.
For sure. And processes, I think.
Super important.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know what a process was. Literally did not know what a process was. I'm like, well, that's just how you do something. So when you are trying to teach somebody else how to do a certain task the way you want it done, most of the time when we're just growing, somebody comes in, you sit down, you talk to them, you tell them this is how I want it done. Then maybe you show them how to do it, but there's not anything written,
right?
There's no written.
I know. We're just supposed to know it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just supposed to come naturally.
You can go back.
After I told you once.
Right. I mean, why aren't you guys getting this? So, I mean, that whole point of really understanding how important processes are and how people learn at different levels, that is nothing that you're thinking of when you first get into a business.
No.
At all. So the earlier you're thinking about that structural approach, including processes, and now, I mean, there's so many tools, there's so many AI tools and everything that
I didn't really think we'd go off in this direction, but now that you're saying that, we've talked about it before, the personality test, and doing the personality test so what your forte is and what it's not.
Yep. Your strengths.
That is super important, especially when you're small, right? I mean, obviously as you go along, but just we were talking a moment ago, everybody thinks that they're flexible. Everybody thinks that they're a multitasker. But really, when it comes down to it, not everybody is everything. No. So when you know what your forte is, what your expertise or your weakness is, super important as well.
Yeah. And I think this is, we're kind of talking about the beginning.
Yes.
The honeymoon stage, the blueprint stage where we're following the blueprint, but you just don't know what you don't know. So in that honeymoon stage, when you're growing, just make sure you're educating yourself as much as possible. Reach out to people that you trust. Reach out to people that have done this before. People, if somebody called me and said, hey, Dawn, I'm thinking about starting my own firm. What do you think? What would you do? I would sit there and I would give you as much information as I possibly could. I didn't have anybody like that to really go to that I trusted that, knew about business except Lisa. I was constantly calling Lisa, what did
bantering
you do
back and forth. Yes.
What did you do in this circumstance? So just trying to educate yourself and not being too married to that initial plan.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent word of advice because that's a hard thing to do.
It is.
Once you start doing
And
it.
delegate.
Delegate. Yes. Delegate. And I'll just end on too. If we've made it sound like it's really overwhelming, I just have to tell you, there's a blessing in being so naive when you first start out, because you can't even anticipate what's going to come at you. And the thing that makes that so great is that then you just do it.
Yeah.
You just take care of it. You just do the next thing. So don't get all caught up in like what you don't know, because you'll figure it out as you go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just try, just start. You know, if you feel like this is a dream that you've had, something that you've really wanted to do your whole life, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? So it's not successful. So you end up, you're going to go work for somebody
Just go do what you were doing before.
Yes.
That's always the option.
Yes, you can.
But
go work for some, you know.
Yes.
I mean,
you have choices
you have
and opportunities that you could take advantage of if it didn't go the direction that you wanted. Or maybe you learn that it's not for you.
Exactly.
And there is nothing wrong with that either. It just fills your well, fills the pipeline so that you can figure out what you do want to do.
Just keep trying to figure out the best fit.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we are super excited about this series, and the next one with Burn the Blueprint, it's going to be talking about everything in the middle. So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, please comment below or email us hello@ladiesinlaw.com. Thank you.
Thank you.